Hello and welcome to our Worried About Nothing podcast. Today we thought we would talk about the threatening to be introduced vaccine passports. So we'll see how that goes. And my name's Kim.
And I'm Danielle.
And welcome to our show.
Yeah, we thought it would it'd be interesting to talk about the vaccine passports. I saw something the weekend that we talked about Malta banning anyone from entry to the country that hasn't got proof of vaccine, or vaccine passport in other words. I think they're the first country to actually activate this in practice. And in the UK, there's a lot of talk of restaurants and bars are being advised to only allow people in who have been vaccinated, who have a vaccine passport. And that's just insane. It's just crazy. So there are a number of bars and restaurants, which good on them, which are posting things saying, nope, we're not going to do that. We'll accept everyone, because to not do so is crazy. But then there are other ones that I know will go along with it. And it's very much a carrot thing. Like, for example, the recent Euro 2020 final at Wembley, people were only allowed into the grounds if they'd been vaccinated. And if they hadn't, they were told to veer off towards the vaccine centre before going to Wembley, and make sure they got their jabs before they went and took their seat, because that's obviously crucial.
Oh my God.
They had all these people there that flown in from the US and from Brazil and various other places, within the last day, who hadn't been quarantined or anything like that, all sitting there in the top box, because, the rich and famous are above the rest of us. They can do what they like, The hypocrisy is just incredible.
None of it makes any sense. That's the only thing. That's all I can keep thinking. Because even for you to say, like, they came in and they didn't have to quarantine, I'm just, like, so past the point of it meaning anything that I'm just like, of course they didn't have to quarantine because nothing's happening. But, like, according to their so-called rules,
exactly.
They aren't supposed to quarantine. Yeah. It's terrible.
So it was, let me tell you who it was. In the sort of top box at Wimbledon, we had Jeff Hurst, Tom Cruise, Kate Moss and David Beckham, with other famous people. And again, there's inverted commas around famous, because I just can't bring myself to say that. Sitting right next to or near to the FIFA president, Infantino, who was less than 24 hours ago in the red list country, Brazil. So according to their bollocks rules, he should have been in quarantine for 2 weeks. Well, he shouldn't have been allowed over to the UK, actually, because he was coming from a red country. Not that I can really keep up with the rules, but according to them, that's what's supposed to happen,
Right.
Yeah, so it's just bollocks, and it's just control is clamping down more and more. It is becoming ridiculous. Because I think in the UK, it's not law. I mean, none of it is law, so it's not going to be law, but it's not being mandated. It's just being strongly suggested, and it's being strongly suggested, or it's being said that from the 19th of July, people can stop wearing masks if they want to, but they're strongly encouraged to keep wearing them, So we'll see who's the kind of the virtue signaling people who be like, yes, well, I know we don't have to, but I'm still going to wear it because I'm a good citizen, all of this shit. And then it'll be, oh yes, you can't come into my bar because you haven't been vaccinated and you're not wearing a mask. Oh my God,
It'll be interesting to see what happens, I think the best things people can do, as always, is vote with their dollars, go patronize. That sounds wrong. But go be a patron at the places that you support, that support what you believe in, like they're not requiring you to wear masks or whatever, they never required you to wear masks, maybe. Like, that's where I would go.
Yeah, absolutely. I've joined a group recently on Facebook that lists all these places, and people talk about all these places that are accepting non-vaccinated people, which back in the day, or back in normality, is everyone, it's normal, but it's great. So they're listing all the pubs and restaurants and bars that are saying, no, absolutely, we're not going to hold this law up. That's ridiculous, and everyone's kind of applauding them, going, yes, we'll come and visit you, But I agree, as you say, those are the places we should go, and probably the only places we'll be allowed to go soon here in the UK. And let's just hope that more and more people just realize how stupid this is. There was something in the news recently about this woman, and I felt so proud of her. But she runs, I think it was like an eco retreat center or something like that. And she got into the news recently, the mainstream media news recently, because she said, I will only take non-vaccinated people because I refuse to endanger my staff. and my animals, because she had some farmyard animals as well. Because apparently at one point she was having vaccinated people stay, and all her animals were going into either early labor or abortion or something like that. They're really being affected by them. So she got a lot of flack for that. Whereas I think brilliant, good on you, fantastic. You'll get a lot of custom, increasing numbers of custom. But she was absolutely slated in the news, for standing to her principles, and good on her. And I think that's the thing. It'll be interesting to see who has the courage to stand by their principles. There'll be people who, like they are at the moment, will disagree with wearing masks, will disagree with various things, but they'll still wear them, not to rock the boat. And there'll still be those people that sometimes come into work that are triple masked, and you go, what? How are you not dead right now? How have you not suffocated yourself? It's just crazy. So you'll see them, it's layered up, and it's really hot here in the UK at the moment. And you just think, oh my God, and they'll come in and go, oh, I'm sweating, I'm so hot. It's like, yeah, take your fucking 3 masks off, you idiot.
Oh my God.
One's bad enough, but 3, Jesus. But yeah, we'll see who stands by their principles with that one. Because I know there are a lot of people that quietly on the side will say, oh no, I don't agree with this mask thing, I don't agree with whatever, but I have to do it. And again, it's fear. The government's told me that I can be closed down if I don't do it. And then there's all these other businesses that are popping up or just speaking out and just saying, well, the government can try and shut me down. I don't care. I refuse to do this. The hairdressers, there's this hairdresser, I forget what they're called, but they've refused to see anybody or allow anybody in who's vaccinated because they say, no, it affects our health. My staff are suffering because of it. And that's brilliant.
How are they determining that? Because I think it would be easy enough to just be like, oh, no, I'm not vaccinated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I guess because people are so proud of the fact they're vaccinated, they always come in and go, hi, I'm vaccinated, I'm double vaxxed, woohoo. And you're like, oh God, great, I'm going to feel shit again for half an hour, thanks. I guess it's that, and they may ask for the opposite of vaccination proof, it's kind of like, do you have a vaccination card? Then get out,
Yeah, right, I don't know.
Yeah. But that's good though. So I think it'll, the more this idiocy increases, the more people hopefully will just see what's happening. I mean, I posted something about the Malta, only accepting COVID passport people. And some of the comments underneath were hilarious. It was like, oh, bollocks. Well, we never wanted to go there anyway. Oh, fuck them, kind of thing. And it's just like, yeah, brilliant,
Yeah.
And for a tourist country, it's insane.
I've been noticing that more on certain posts. Because, there are accounts that I'll follow on Instagram that are like ones that are alternative news, but then there are the ones that are they're like mainstream accounts. They're very popular, and they'll post something and it'll be kind of towards the mainstream narrative and supportive of it. But then I'm starting to read the comments underneath and seeing the ones that have a lot of likes and they're more in alignment with what we're thinking than what's supposedly the mainstream or the majority belief. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think sometimes it's hilarious. I mean, like before the football, Boris Johnson, the UK, I can't even say the word, the idiot, but he'd posted a photo of his back wearing an England t-shirt, on his page. And the comments below were fantastic. I mean, there was maybe the odd one that said, oh, wait, Boris, you're, supporting England. But the rest was like, dickhead, arsehole. He was so stupid, blah, blah, blah. Big comments about his policies, And it was just thousands and thousands. It was pages of it. I skimmed through some of them and I just thought, oh, fantastic. That's so good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Sometimes I just, like you were saying earlier, because in my reality, none of this is happening, and that none of it exists. I don't wear a mask. I never have. I never will, And people are getting more concerned because there's a lot of stirring in the UK about, there's 100,000 people affected now. We're rising. There's potentially going to be another lockdown in September, which we knew anyway, because they have to poison all the kids, But people are coming in really surprised about it. They'll come into work. This woman came in today and she said, oh my God, I'm really nervous because, the cases are increasing. And then she started talking about, the whole mainstream narrative. And I've kind of talked about it or touched on it before, but I find it a bit difficult sometimes because I'm in a customer service job. So there's a certain amount of professionalism that I'm supposed to hold, which really is slipping. I mean, it's ragged at best, So my replies are not, And what I should be, or in inverted commas, should be saying is, oh, yeah, I know, it's really concerning, isn't it? Are you okay? But instead I'm going, yeah, but it's all bullshit. You know it's bullshit. I mean, sorry, what can I help you? Or, that's all made up. It's not true. And I just can't quite catch myself in time. Because it's ridiculous. It's like somebody coming in and going, oh, that pink elephant that's going around scaring everyone. Oh, it's terrifying. You're like, well, it doesn't exist, right? It's a figment of your imagination. And it's, and then when people say, oh, this new variant that's going to come out in September, really? You're still believing that? Really? And so when I then say, well, why that is? And they go, oh, no, why? I say, well, they're trying to vaccinate the children now. They're like, no, they're not. No, they're not going to do that. And
they're already doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you mean? What do you mean? No, they're not. Yeah, it's already happening.
I know, it's just complete blindness. And it's sometimes with some people, I kind of see that slight fear in their eyes of, oh my God, this person's crazy. They're questioning everything I think I believe in, But at the same time, it's like, well, I have nothing to lose except my job by saying stuff. And if stuff slips out, then it slips out. I can't really help it sometimes.
I don't feel like your boss would even really care.
No, he's pretty chilled, actually. Yeah. I mean, he's kind of pro-vaccine, which really surprised me. But he's pretty open about everything else. He's like, masks are ridiculous. They don't work, And I think, I don't think he'd care. Sometimes he thinks it's just funny. But people are definitely, just as a bit of an aside, people are definitely getting crazier and weirder as well in these strange times. I've had some nutters coming into work. I mean, this woman sent us an email yesterday, and this is 100% pure level crazy. But we'd sent her a reminder just saying, your pet is due their vaccination, ironically, due their vaccination on whatever date. And she wrote back and said, I have 2 pets. They're supposed to be vaccinated on the same day. This is discrimination. In fact, I call it abuse. How dare you? I'm going to take my business elsewhere. And now, if it had been anyone else, they would have just let it slide. But I was like, no, I'm not going to let that slide. So I replied very politely saying, okay, so the dates we have of your pets' vaccinations are the and the. And she replied saying, no, you're wrong. I definitely brought them in on the same day as CCTV cameras would show, which we don't have. And then she said, and I work part-time for this, what was it, the organization? Part of the UN, which I'd Googled, but nothing came up, saying, and we work with data abuse and twisting of information, and what you're saying and what you're doing is classified as abuse. And I was kind of like, okay, you're a complete fruit bat. Oh my God. And she took herself very seriously. And then she said, see attachment. And so I clicked on the attachment and there's a photo of her.
Really?
Like, okay, I'm not sure what the point is here. What? So I told the vet and he just replied and said, okay, bye-bye.
What was she like? Oh, maybe this person doesn't recognize me from my email, but if she sees my face, then I'll be treated differently. Strange. Like, yeah. That...
And then she'd CC'd 2 members of parliament as well. Her local...
To the C attached email? Oh my God. I hope they reply all and you guys get to see whatever they have to say to her, because that sounds like it's real interesting.
Because we were laughing about it. We were just saying, should we CC, like the nearest loony bin and, Boris Johnson and...
Yeah, right? See who you could CC.
Crazy. And then this other woman barged in today and she was just horrible, really aggressive. The way that people, I think I've mentioned before that people are just slightly disconnected and schizophrenic. But this woman came in and she was completely out of her body. There was no soul there anymore at all. She was complete robotic. And she marched in and she's like, right, I demand to register with you. Kind of, people don't usually demand that. That's slightly weird to start off with. I said, I'm sorry, we're not taking on new clients. We've got a waiting list. She went, how dare you? I said, well, that's just the way it is. I'm really sorry. She said, well, I need to speak to the vet now. And I said, well, he's actually in a consultation with somebody, as you can see through the window behind me. And she said, well, I need to ask him this. And so when the person came out of the consult, I just popped in to ask him. He's like, I can't do that now. I was like, I know, fair enough. So I went back to her and I said, sorry, he can't do that now. He's in the middle of something. And she said, but I just need this, this, and this. I was like, well, tough. What? And she's like, yes, I really want to change to your vet because I've heard really good things. And it was kind of like, well, we don't want you, so you're definitely going on the no-no list, you know? We've got a waiting list and her name has a big no, never written next to it. You know?
Yeah, she's not building a good case for herself. Who would I wouldn't want to welcome that into my...
No, exactly. She was like, yeah, this vet I'm with, oh my God, I want to leave them for obvious reasons. And I was thinking, yeah, there are obvious reasons why they wanted to get rid of you too, you know? And everyone in the room after she left, you know, there were a few people in the waiting room. They all kind of went, oh my God, she was awful. What was wrong with her? And I was like, yeah, right. Yeah, I know.
Oh my God.
But just insanity, weird. People are being weirder and weirder.
It makes it stranger that she did that in front of other people in the waiting room as well.
Yeah. Yeah. This other woman came in and had a massive argument with me and she called me a liar. She said, no, you didn't tell me that. It's like, well, I send the same email. It's actually a template, you know, to everybody about this subject. So I didn't change a word. So I know what it says. She's like, no, you never said that. It's like, well, I can show you the email. I was like, no, you're lying. It was kind of like, okay, sure. Just live in your little fantasy land, you little nutter. And then she just raised her voice. And I can't remember if I told you about this, but it suddenly struck me as so funny that I pointed my finger and just laughed at her because it was just so hilarious. I just went, "Pah!" And then she got really annoyed, obviously. And I said, I'm so sorry. Do you want to carry on? She said, no, this conversation's over. And I was kind of still laughing. So I said, yes, it definitely is, isn't it? And then weirdly, the next time she came in, she was so nice and so polite. It was kind of like, oh, okay. Something shifted there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, people are definitely being more out there.
Yeah, it really feels like what's going to happen because we have the fall coming, right? And this push potentially in certain areas for them to be like, oh, we have another variant and whatever. And they're going to try to send at least some places, I guess, back into lockdown.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. I mean, they could try, but after having all of this time with people congregating together, people not wearing masks, vaccinated, unvaccinated, you don't really know who is and who's not. People aren't wearing masks. We're all going about our normal life. How can anyone like go back into the fear and the lockdown? I don't see it for myself. You know what I mean? So I'm not seeing it, I guess, in general, but it'll be interesting, like you said, because people will personally be against something, but then when they go out, they're not acting in accordance with that. I'm just wondering what will happen if they do push that, which I imagine that they will, at least in some areas, to see what people do. And then also on top of this, as you speak of people being crazier, it's just going to be like the craziest reality TV show probably that we've ever watched. I keep listening to stuff about theories, you know, of things that are happening, what's going on behind the scenes. And I think back to some things that I've heard about before and how things have unfolded until now. And I'm like, this is the craziest TV I have ever watched. Like, this story is just absolutely insane. I was like, I would not be able to write this. I couldn't write anything better than this. It's just absolutely fascinating, and there's just so many more pieces to it. Like, there's so many layers and so many things going on at the same time that it's incredible. I can't keep track of it all. I'm like, oh yeah, and that, and this is happening, and that happened. Like, you know, like it's like there's still different investigations going on. I imagine Cuomo's still being investigated, but it's not being talked about. You know what I mean? So I'm like, oh yeah, that's still there, but it's just like not. It's not even a big topic in my mind because of all the other even bigger stuff that's happening. It's crazy.
It is crazy. It absolutely is. And it just really shows how information gets drip fed to us, you know, and that you have to kind of know where to look to get other information. But it's just, I think it's a ramping up of the fear, you know, because I posted a couple of memes on Facebook, which I'll check now. See, there's a photo of all these guys sort of gathered and says, today with 70,000 strangers at Wembley, and all these guys going, whoa, standing next to each other. And then the next photo is tomorrow buying a loaf of bread, and they're all standing next to each other with masks on, you know, and people are going for that craziness. Like, this woman came in and she was talking about that, and she said, oh yeah, I had some friends or relatives or something that went to Wembley last week, you know, for the semi-final, and obviously 3 of them tested positive for COVID. And I kind of looked at her and I just had to really strongly resist the urge to roll my eyes, you know, you just go, no, that's not what happened. No. But she was like, yeah, so it's so dangerous. And she's following exactly what they're trying to do, which is they allowed Wembley, they allowed Wimbledon, they allowed the Last Freedom March, they allowed Ascot. And now because of that, they gave us our freedoms. But look what happened. The cases went up.
Why are people still getting tested? I'm not understanding that. Stop getting tested. And I know this was a big thing that Trump got called out for saying was like, oh, well, if you don't get tested, then it's not happening. And they're saying like, well, just because there aren't positive tests, it won't mean that people are getting sick. But stop getting tested if you don't have symptoms.
Exactly.
It's been proven that the PCR tests don't work. They ramp up, the cycles or whatever until they can find the information that's there, because it's going to be there if you cycle it through enough. Please.
You can find anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Please, people, start looking into these things.
I know, but people know this information is out there, but people are still doing it. And, then they'll go, oh, it's because you're not vaccinated. And it's like, well, I'm not vaccinated, which also means I will never get tested and I'm never going to get the vaccine. So it's not me. You're the one that keeps getting tested. You're the one that has had the double jab. And you're part of the statistic that is getting sick. So many doctors and nurses now are coming out and saying, yeah, everyone who's sick has been double jabbed. And it's like, yeah, we all saw this coming. Well, all of us saw this coming. But it's coming as a shock to other people, or they're not believing it, or they're just, blaming the unvaccinated. And it's just turned into a farce. You want to put Benny Hill music to it, and have us running around trees, because it's just so ridiculous now.
It really
it's
is.
kind of it's like that puppet of kind of, oh, so we can't go to Malta. Oh well, that's an island. Put big red cross through it. And play the Benny Hill music. It's just it's all just insane.
That's funny. Isn't the Maltese cross a red cross anyway?
Oh, I don't know.
Just slap that right on top of it and just tilt it. There's your red X. Not going there.
Yeah. But it is ramping up in certain parts of the world. I mean, Australia, it's bad. People are getting a real abuse on the streets. And I think Canada's pretty bad as well. So in some ways, I'm very fortunate living in the UK or the part of the UK I live in, and I'm not experiencing that firsthand. Other people that do podcasts and talk about things, they say in their countries it's much worse.
Yeah, same here. I'm not experiencing anything in my direct area anyway. I know, supposedly they're supposed to be sending out people to go door to door, check in on your status. So I'm waiting to see some weird, vans or something come down my block. But where are they even starting this? You know what I mean? It's like they're talking about it, but I imagine there's got to be a game plan. Are they starting in the inner cities, or are they starting from the East Coast and moving towards the West Coast? How is this working? Would be interested to know what their game plan is to try to knock on every single door in the United States.
Yeah, because that's crazy. And maybe it's just a fear tactic to amp people up and go, oh my God, I don't want to have my door knocked on, so I'm going to go and get vaccinated. It's like in the UK, they keep saying all the time that if you're not vaccinated and you don't have proof, the police are patrolling the streets and they'll arrest you and fine you, whatever it is, £9,000 or something.
What if you're on the street and you're not vaccinated? Yeah. That's crazy.
I know, it's crazy. And on public transport and that kind of thing, But I've never seen anyone. And I've been wandering around living my life for the past year and a half, and I've never seen a cop do that, or one of these undercover marshals, do that. So it's strange. I mean, maybe it's happening, but I've never seen it. I don't know anyone who's ever seen it. Nobody's ever experienced that. But you hear the stories. It's like, oh, yes, that person was fined several £1,000s. So it's kind of like, is it urban legend? Is it coming? I don't know. But not in my experience. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was not the fear, and going back to what we were saying about the masks. So this other meme that I saw on Facebook, where is it now? I post too much on Facebook. I don't know, it's way back.
Yeah, you're like, I posted a couple memes. I'm like, a couple hundred memes. Good luck finding the one you're looking for.
Get a bit carried away sometimes. I think, I'll do one or two. 12,000 later. There's this quote too, I couldn't see who it was by because I cut it off, which was not helpful. But the quote goes, to effectively brainwash and mind control a population, you first need fear. You then need a ritual or ceremony which relieves the fear. The ritual must be simple so anyone can do it. You must make average people feel like heroes for doing exactly as they're told. The tyrant is best served by being in full control of the fear, plus manufacturing the ritual that removes the fear. That pre-manufactured ritual will in turn trick the public into participating in their own enslavement and brings them willingly into the iron grip of the tyrant. And it's superimposed on a picture of a person wearing a mask. And that's a perfect description, because people will continue wearing masks because they feel that they're doing good by doing it. And it's like carrying some kind of jinx, like carrying a lucky coin or something. You're like, really? Do you think that's going to keep the bogeyman away? A 2-penny piece or whatever.
Yeah. I feel bad because sometimes I just can't help myself. And it came up with my parents, so I'm like literally yelling at them. I'm like, but it doesn't feel like an angry yell. It just like feels like it's just moving through me. So I'm just like, masks don't work. I'm like, if they worked, we would have used them for every single flu season that there's been. Why do you think we haven't worn masks before? I was like, they don't work. They do not work.
Yeah. But people put them on and it's just insane.
I just feel safer this way.
Yeah, breathing in your own bacteria, that's great. Yeah. You've had that mask in your pocket or in the bottom of your bag, and you're sticking it on your face and it's touching your lips and nose, and you're going to wear the same mask over and over and over again. These disposal masks that you're supposed to wear for no more than 4 hours once during operations for a completely different purpose, but only once for 4 hours. You're wearing over and over again.
No, that's important, I think, to bring up. Because, I don't have a medical background, but it would be easy enough to find out. But my understanding is that the reasons for the masks is so that your droplets, like the surgeons, aren't falling into the patient.
Exactly.
Sweat, maybe like drool, nose drippings, I don't know. But that's the idea. So it's not dripping onto the patient while they're doing surgery.
Exactly. And also if there's any, an open wound, you don't get backsplash, so that doesn't, blood and stuff, you don't get in your mouth, which you really don't want, which is fair enough. Yeah. But that's the reason you wear those surgical masks, because the only ones that actually work in the sense of keeping bacteria, not bacteria, God forbid, it's keeping bacteria away, but, that would protect you from the virus, in inverted commas, is the N95 one, which stops anything from getting to you. But if you have symptoms and if you're sick and you breathe out, it goes out into the environment. So you share it with all your friends, so it doesn't work in that respect. So none of them actually work at all for the reason that people are wearing them. And so people are kind of going around that by wearing 2 or 3. You think, well, that's just stupid. If none of them work, 3 of them together are not going to work 3 times better. Well, they will. They'll exactly 0. No.
0 times 0 times 0.
Yeah.
Still 0.
I know. Does not equal 100% suddenly. But it's just, crazy town. So yeah, it is getting more and more surreal for sure. And kind of amusing, in some ways. But also serious, so on Monday, the 19th of July in the UK, there's going to be a sit-in outside Parliament, on Parliament Square. And it's basically just a protest, because the government breaks up for their holidays 3 days after that. So it's going to be a protest just saying, don't do this, don't vaccinate the kids, don't go after the kids, and they're going to teach us all how to do citizens' arrests and stuff like that, which apparently we can do. So that'll be interesting to see people grabbing politicians, probably around the neck, But yeah, it's a serious business. But yeah, it's going to be interesting because it's led by Mark Sexton, who is the cop. I think I sent you this video that he went to the police station. He took a video and he laid out all the information about COVID being incorrect and saying, as a constable, you work for the people. It's your right now to uphold the law. And he's brilliant. He was at the last couple of marches and everyone was, flocking around him. But yeah, so it's led by him. So that'll be interesting.
Is he the retired constable?
Retired cop. Yeah,
okay,
that
yeah.
one.
Yeah, no, that video was great.
Yeah.
Maybe we could put the link in the comments or in the description on YouTube, because that was a really good video.
Powerful. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it kind of, when you watch a video and you're like, why isn't everyone doing this? Why didn't we think of it? But you kind of, I guess being an ex-cop, he knows, that's his go-to, whereas the rest of us aren't police. So I guess we didn't really think of it. But because of that, he's stemmed so many replicas of that. So many people are going into police stations and doing exactly the same thing now, which is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that.
That was our conversation on vaccine passports and the general nuttiness of the world these days. If you liked what you heard, please Like and share and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell button so you get notified about our future podcasts. And thanks for listening. Bye.